Hi guys, welcome back to my channel.
A storm is coming, but I'm prepared. I'll be gone for a while, but don't be scared. Right now, I don't know if I'll ever arrive. Where the grass is green, we're still alive. I hope I'll see you on the other side. I know that I'll be paying for the ride into the black hole. Sing for my soul through the black hole to make myself whole.
Alright, so first things first. My name's Kenny Hilburn. I'm 31 years old. I was born in Busan, South Korea, and I was adopted at a young age, and I came over here to Oklahoma. I was raised in Yukon, which is a small suburb of Oklahoma City, and I've lived most of my entire life here, minus a short stint that I spent in Denver. For the last 6 years, I've been an avid rock climber, mainly in the discipline of bouldering. I do like to sport climb, and I really love to trad climb. It has been a while since I've roped up, though, because I took a fall on a lead climb one time and got caught on gear. I had a cam blow, and this kind of messed up my mental game a little bit, but I'm working on that. I'm gonna make a comeback on that. So, a lot of you out there are probably wondering, okay, you said earlier that you went from running 0 miles to somewhere around 80, maybe even more than that by the time your training block's done. So the reason that I started running is one day I was hiking out to a crag at my local climbing spot, the Wichita Mountain Wildlife Refuge here in Oklahoma. And I noticed that after about this 1.5 mile hike, up some hills and on some rocky paths, etc., that I was having problems catching my breath. And I said to myself, well, I'm a really strong rock climber. You know, at that point in time, I was climbing about V7, V8. Why am I out of breath? If I'm strong and if I'm fit, then why am I having problems struggling right now? Subsequently, I had to take a step back and kind of look and evaluate at what was going on in my life, and I realized that throughout my whole entire life of being a pretty decent athlete, a pretty athletic person, I never stopped to take the time to train my cardio correctly. So I said to myself, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to worry about a race or anything like that. I'll just start running for fitness. I'll start running to increase my ability to handle these long approaches out to the climbing spots that I want to go to. So I started training and running. I started off just going out in some tennis shoes and some basketball shorts and running a mile. And that's what I did for quite a while. I think for a couple of weeks, I just wanted to really get the mile down and make sure that I could do that. And then eventually I stepped it up to 3 miles. And then eventually that became 5 miles. Well, after I was running about, I went by time at first. I didn't necessarily go for distance. I'd set a timer for 45 minutes, and I'd go out and I'd just try to run for 45 minutes. During that time, I was also in a relationship with a girl, and we'd been together for about 3 years. And around that time, that relationship was kind of hitting the rocks and it was starting to end. So me being kind of an emotionally contained person, one of the ways that I found that I was able to relieve some of that stress and anxiety from that ending relationship was to run. I found it very mentally and emotionally therapeutic. And as things progressed, I started running more, and I started running more distance, and I started running a lot faster at those distances as well. So I decided to go ahead and sign up for a race. My first race was the Susan G. Komen. It was a half marathon, and it was to support the fight against breast cancer. So about 2 weeks before that race took place, that relationship ended, and I had a lot of emotional pain from that. I was very upset. This was somebody that I thought that I was going to be with for the rest of my life. And I had also started a new job as a paramedic, and that career was very hard. It had a lot of hard hours, and I was being faced with situations and circumstances that I had never encountered before, that made me feel, kind of sad and made me feel a certain way about some things. So running became a very, very therapeutic thing for me. And I said to myself, well, I'll just go and I'll just make it to where I can finish this half marathon. All I want to do is finish it. I wasn't going for a set time. I wasn't going for a set pace. I just wanted to finish. I just wanted to prove to myself that I could do something amidst feeling like a failure in my relationship, that I wasn't a failure overall in life, that I could still get up, I could still go and run 14 or 13.1 miles, and I could get it done. So I trained, I continued training, and I arrived on the start line relatively healthy and good physical fitness, the best shape that I'd ever been in my life. Long story short, I went out super hard right out of the gate. I held that pace for the full 13 miles. Next thing you know, I'm finishing in the top 10. I actually finished 8th place overall in that race, which I felt really good about. I felt like I had given 100%, and I felt like I had trained for it, and I felt like I deserved that. Fast forward a little bit later. So I'm entering into my second race. This was actually going to be a marathon. Half of it was on trail and half of it was on pavement. This was my first marathon that I'd ever done, and I had basically continued training from the end of that half marathon all the way up until that full marathon. At that race, I ended up taking 3rd overall, and that was a huge shock to me, and that basically solidified my want to continue on with running. Now, I had already had my eye on the longer distances, the ultra marathons. When I first started running, I jumped onto YouTube and I just typed in running, and it opened up my eyes and my mind to the world of ultra running. And these guys were running, and gals, they were running on trails, which is what I mainly like, and they were running in the mountains, which is what I mainly like. And so, of course, I felt like naturally that I would gravitate more towards trail running and ultra marathon running. So inevitably, I did gravitate a lot more towards the trail and ultra running, and it was right then and there that I started planning to run my first 100-mile race, which would be the Pumpkin Holler 100 out here in Tahlequah. This race is set to take place here in about a month on October 17th. It's a 30-mile loop. You run that 3 times, and then you run a 10-mile section out and back, and that gets you your 100 or just barely over 100 miles. This is going to be my first 100-mile race, and I have been training properly for it. Now, when I first started out training, I was trying to train myself. I do have a background in personal training. I have a background in anatomy and physiology, and I'm well-versed in biology as well. I've also taken a couple of college-level nutrition courses, etc., etc. So I felt like at that point in time, whenever I decided that I wanted to go ahead and do this, that I would be okay training myself. That was a big mistake. I trained for about 6 or 7 months like that. And most of the time I was dealing with injuries. I was running way too fast. I wasn't running enough long distance mileage throughout the week. I was just trying to mainly work on speed, which is something that you need for racing, but it's not necessarily your main priority when it comes to these 100-mile races. Now, do I want to go and win? Yes, of course I do. Do I want to go and run it fast? Yes, of course I do. But really, whenever you're looking at things, 100 miles, if you're trying to run your marathon pace for 100 miles and you can actually sustain that and finish the race, well then kudos to you. But I was trying to be realistic with myself after facing multiple injuries, and I decided it was time to get a coach. So recently, over the past few months, I've been working with the Wahoo Running Club, which is based out of Oklahoma City here. I have a wonderful set of coaches. I have a nutrition coach that's accessible to me, and I have a strength and conditioning coach that's accessible to me. I've been following the plans that they've given me, and so far everything's been working out great. My weekly mileage has been increasing exactly like my coaches want. I've been running at the prescribed pace and prescribed distances that my coaches give me, and so far, the most important thing is that I've been injury-free. Now, let's take a side moment and talk about the path and the sacrifices that it took to get here. So, about over a year of training for this, or more realistically, about over the last 6 to 7 months of training for this, I have spent thousands of dollars. If you think about all of the food, the gels that it takes to actually fuel you during your long runs, you think about the electrolyte mixes that it takes to put in the water so that you can make sure that you're not going to go down in flames on your long runs, the shoes, the backpacks, the fanny packs, the other race entry fees, all of these things combined, I've spent thousands of dollars over the last 6 months trying to make sure that this dream happens, trying to keep myself injury free and trying to keep myself fueled. On top of that, my relationships with my friends have suffered. I no longer get to go out and stay out on Friday and Saturday nights. I don't even really go out and drink a whole lot anymore because I don't want to wake up feeling hungover. Any amount of alcohol outside of 1 or 2 beers a night seems to have a really negative effect on me. And because of this, my social life has taken quite an impact from it. But these are just some of the sacrifices that you make. By the time that I end up running this race, and by the time you see this video, I would have gone through 2 relationships, both of which were devastating whenever they ended. But running and my training program and this 100-mile race, my goals have always been something that I've held close to my heart and in the back of my head. So when these relationships ended, it wasn't like I was totally lost, that I had no purpose in life or direction in life anymore. So I've been able to emotionally deal with those things through running. Now, running did take a sacrifice on both of those relationships. Obviously, you're going out on the weekends for a 3 to 4 hour long run, and you have less time to spend with your significant other. You're waking up early in the mornings. You're not staying in bed with your significant other, cuddling and sharing that morning time together. You're not, able to stay out late at night with them and go and socialize with their groups of friends and be a part of their vibrant social life because you have to be to bed early in order to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning so that you can go and make your daily runs. So there's been a lot of sacrifice. On top of that, my performance at my job kind of suffers, not all the time, but every now and then. For instance, if I have to go and do a hard workout session before I report to work in the morning, sometimes it can make working the rest of that 24-hour shift a little bit difficult and a little bit hard to get through. Outside of that, though, there's been countless other sacrifices, but let's not wallow in the negativity. Let's move on to the positives. Training's been going well, and I've been showing a lot of improvement. Those are some of the positives. Another thing that I've noticed has happened is I just generally feel a lot better. Yeah, I do get a little bit sore in the legs, and sometimes I feel a little bit of fatigue, but for the most part, I've had a major boost in my energy levels. I feel like I'm a lot more open of a person because I've been invited into this community of runners, and it's a very open community. I've received a lot of support from my running group. A lot of them have become very good friends of mine. So there's been a lot of benefits. It's not all just negatives, but I do want you guys to understand that if you are setting out on a journey of this, like this of your own, that you do need to be prepared to make sacrifices. And I understand how hard it is to make those sacrifices, and we try to minimize them as much as we possibly can. But, it's just the simple fact of the matter is that you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit. This is something that takes time. You will feel pain, and it is going to be hard. It's not easy. There are many days where I wake up and I just don't want to get out on the road, but I do it. I do it because I know that it's what I need in order to be successful at this race. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a photo from Strava here. And what this is going to show is it's going to show my training activities over the past year. And you can kind of see the ebb and flow of how I peaked out and how I tapered. And then you can also kind of see the point in time where I actually hired my coaches that I have right now. Now, that single-handedly has been the best decision that I've made as far as training for this race. I don't think that there is anything out there that could have helped me more than having found the Wahoo Run Club and the coaches that I work with. So big shout out to them and a huge thank you. So as you can see, there are a lot of ebbs and flows, but that's just the way that training generally is. Now, as for lately, I've been basically running a lot of easy runs. Easy for me is about a 9:15 to a 10:15 pace. So I've been running a lot of easy runs, and I've basically just been increasing my mileage. Now, some weeks my mileage is a lot higher, and then it seems after those higher mileage weeks, my coaches have me back off a little bit. I have a lower mileage week, and then I have another higher mileage week, higher than the previous high mileage week, and then I back off again. So even in there, you can kind of see the ebb and flow of my training as well. Another interesting thing to note is that you have to be honest with yourself, or I have to be honest with myself about injuries. I have a very high pain tolerance. I was a martial artist as a child from the age of 12 to the age of 18. So subsequently, my pain tolerance is very high. It has been of key importance to me to ask myself the question every single morning before I go run, is this soreness or is this an injury? At this point in time, I've kind of learned the difference as far as the way that my body feels between soreness and injury. And so I've been, pretty good at preventing a full-blown injury from happening. Usually on days that I wake up where I feel like I'm kind of right there on the borderline, I like to just chill. My gimbal just died on me, so I guess a lesson to learn is if you're going to run long distances and you're going to make long films, you should probably charge your electronics and charge your body as well. Words to live by. Anyways, so as I was saying, the main thing for me is just to make sure that I'm not running with an injury, to make sure that it actually is soreness and that it's not progressing to a full-blown injury. Training as of late, it's been going well. And as I said, everything before now pretty much brings us up into present day. I'm going to try and keep these pretty short and sweet, so I'll be giving you a little bit more history about myself and about my full training journey as we get through these vlogs, but I want to skip to this morning's run. So I took a rest day yesterday. Before that, I had 2 back-to-back 15-mile runs that I did this weekend, which those are low mileage long runs for me. And most weekends I do 2 long runs. I'll do a 25-mile long run one day and a 25-mile long run on Sunday. So this weekend, like I said, I had 2 back-to-back 15s. I took yesterday to rest. And I woke up this morning, legs were feeling a little beat down, they were feeling a little bit heavy. Subsequently, I ran at about a 9:15 to a 9:30 pace, and that's usually what I like to run. Heart rate usually stays around the area of 143, so for me, that's a good solid zone 2 workout. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fast, heart rate's not getting too high up there or anything like that. Outside of that, I am testing out the Ultra Aspire Speed Goat 3.0. I'll put a picture up here for you guys. And it's been working great for me so far. I tend to like it a lot better than the backpacks that a lot of ultra runners swear by. I just like the fact the weight's down on my hips a lot more, and it is very ergonomic. It fits my body really well, and so far I've really enjoyed running with it. Outside of that, as far as today's training, like I said, it was just a really short 6-mile easy run. I ran it on one of my normal routes. I went north at the fork instead of south at the fork. So I got to go and see the hospital and stuff like that, and it was just a great time. And as the weather's cooling down this morning, it looks like things are going to be a little bit more tolerable as far as the heat goes. Humidity was still very high this morning, so I was still sweating up a storm. But, hopefully as the winter comes around, we'll get rid of that. Like I said, guys, this race is coming up in about a month. I want to do a daily vlog from this point out so that you guys can keep up with my training. You can see the final pieces that I put into this puzzle as my coaches and I develop my race strategy, and as we start to plan out how I'm going to be crewed, what kind of support I'm going to have. Right now it's looking pretty minimal. I don't even know if I'm going to have a crew, so I may be rolling solo on this one. And I don't have any pacers that are really willing to come and do this with me either, so I think this is going to be a solo excursion. It's going to push me to my limits, and to be honest with you guys, I felt confident about it about a month ago, but right now there's been a lot of other things that are going on in my life, and they've been a struggle for me, and so, I've lost a lot of faith in myself, and I've lost a lot of confidence in my ability to be able to run this race and to be able to do well, and not just do well, but to finish. But you know what? I'm not a quitter. I've come so far. I've put in so much time and effort. I've made so many sacrifices, like I was saying earlier, that turning back now and calling it quits before I even hit the starting line, before I even try, well, that would just be a travesty. It wouldn't be fair to me, and it wouldn't be fair to you guys. So let's make it through this month. Let's see each other every single day. I hope that you guys tune in. And yes, I will also be uploading training tips as well. So make sure you tune in for those. Please, if you haven't yet, hit the like and subscribe button and turn on the little bell so that you know whenever I update my profile or my account and I post a new video. So hopefully you guys have a wonderful, wonderful, amazing day today. And who knows, maybe I'll see you guys out there on the road or the trail.